on, guys? It is Jaden and Caleb, our resident expert. I'm so used to him being here now, I forget to say that sometimes. With Fantasy Tomorrow, and we are here to talk Week 10 fantasy football. Yes, you heard me right. Week 10, okay? To really kick this week off, we are going to dive into the world of waiver wires. I'm sure that comes as a shock to most of you. So Caleb, why don't you just go on ahead and tell us who has a bye week this week?
All right, so there's 4 teams that have bye weeks this week. The Falcons, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Jets. So there's quite a few fantasy relevant players on those teams. People like Patrick Mahomes, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. That's just the Chiefs. But also players like Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Todd Gurley, Matt Ryan, Amari Cooper, Ezekiel Elliott. All of those players are going to be on bye. So we've got to find replacements for them. We're getting into crunch time with the fantasy playoffs just around the corner. So it's really important that we make really smart moves, both in waiver wire ads, but also when we're constructing our roster and putting people into our starting lineup. So it's really crunch time right now in fantasy football.
And now that my heart is beating faster and faster at the mention of those names, let's go on ahead and look at who we should be looking to stream this week. So are there any QBs that we should be looking to pick up off the waiver wire?
Yeah, so I think there's 3 really good streaming quarterbacks that are available in just about every single fantasy football league for you to be able to pick up. The first one is Tua Tagovailoa. Hopefully I said that correctly. Sorry, Tua, if you get back on this and I pronounced your name wrong, I'm very, very sorry. But please we'll just let it go. But of course, he's the quarterback from Miami Dolphins. He's taken over for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's actually started in 2 games. In his first game, he didn't really have to do a whole lot because Miami won that game against the Rams basically just with their defense. But in this game against the Cardinals that they played in last week, he looked really, really good. And you could actually see him learning as the game went on and how he was making his decisions, going through his reads. He looks like a really good up-and-coming quarterback. And I expect him to do really good things going up against the Chargers and their defense this week. That's a defense that can be exploited through the air. So I think Tua is going to have a really good game. I think this game is going to be a shootout. Should be good for his fantasy production. I also think you could stream Phillip Rivers, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts this week. Now, he did not have a good week 9. He was just absolutely demolished in that game. He was just throwing up picks left and right. Just wasn't a good game for Phillip Rivers. But I think he's going to be able to bounce back in this game against the Titans on Thursday night. He's going to need to air the ball out, likely, to stay in this game. And this is a very important game for the Titans if they win, or for the Colts. If the Colts are able to win this game, they're going to move into first place in their division. So it's a very important game. I think Phillip Rivers is going to have a good game. He's definitely someone that you could stream. And then the last person is Alex Smith, quarterback for the Washington football team. Now, as a Chiefs fan, Alex Smith has a very special place in my heart. I've watched a lot of him growing up, but then seeing him coming back from this injury that he suffered while he was in Washington, it's been incredible to see his journey. And what was awesome, he came into this game this past week after Kyle Allen got injured, and he threw for over 300 yards. He threw a touchdown. He looked pretty good, and I think he's going to be able to have some fantasy success. He's someone that you could plug in if you're in a pinch. They're going up against the Lions defense. That's a defense that shouldn't scare you at all. So if you're desperate, I think you could start Alex Smith this week.
Awesome. Are there any running backs that we should be looking to stream this week?
Yeah, there's definitely some that are worthy of a pickup. Zach Moss, running back for the Buffalo Bills, he's still available in almost half of ESPN leagues. And that's kind of crazy because he's getting the majority of the touches right now in the Buffalo Bills backfield. That's a very explosive offense, a very high-scoring offense, and I think he's someone that's going to continue to have a role that just grows as the season progresses. He's someone that could be a very viable fantasy starter as we get into the fantasy playoffs, so definitely want to pick him up if he's still available in your league. Duke Johnson, running back for the Houston Texans, he's someone that you probably need to pick up as well, and that's because David Johnson, the running back ahead of him on the depth chart, got hurt in Week 9. He had to leave the game with a concussion. So if David Johnson is not able to suit up and play in Week 10, Duke Johnson is going to see the majority of the touches in that backfield. They really don't have a running back behind him that could take any touches away from him. So if David Johnson is out, definitely want to start Duke Johnson. You need to add Duke Johnson to your team if he's available. J.D. McKissick, running back for the Washington football team, Now, he's available in a lot of leagues, and I've really liked J.D. McKissic all year, and that's because he has such a valuable role in Washington's passing game. In fact, this past week, he saw 14 targets, led the team in targets. That's a ton of targets for a receiver, not even talking about a running back, but 14 targets for a running back is just insane. He's definitely someone that you could pick up and plug into your flex if needed. Wayne Gallman, running back for the New York Giants, is somebody that you could add as well. He's been kind of taking over the running back or the backfield for the New York Giants ever since Devonta Freeman got hurt. Freeman could return this week, but you never know. If Freeman has to sit again, Wayne Gallman is someone that you could play as well. Devontae Booker, running back for the Raiders. Now, he's not someone that I want to rush out and be starting if you pick him up, but I'm really just starting him as kind of a good handcuff just in case something were to happen to Josh Jacobs. Booker has been running really well. He's playing really good with the snaps that he is getting. He's looked like a really effective runner. So if Josh Jacobs were to get hurt, Booker is someone that could come in, could start right away, and could actually win you your league if you have him on your bench. Jordan Howard, running back for the Miami Dolphins, is another player I think is worthy of a pickup. He has high upside because he's getting the looks at the goal line for the Dolphins. And now that offense is really starting to kind of click, now that Tua has taken over, I think that's going to have a very valuable place on your fantasy roster, especially since Myles Gaskins and Matt Breida are also both out with injury. So Jordan Howard is definitely someone to give a look. And lastly, this is more of just a flyer, but Kalen Ballage, running back for the Chargers, he's someone that performed really well this past week. He's bounced around a lot throughout the league. He's been on a bunch of different teams. He just hasn't ever really looked that good. But then he finally broke out in this last game because Justin Jackson got hurt. He left the game. He eventually came back, but they were kind of just feeding Ballage the ball because he was running really well. I don't know if that's going to continue for the Chargers. They have a very crowded backfield between Justin Jackson, Tremaine Pope, Joshua Kelly, and who knows, maybe Austin Eckler is going to come back too. So it's crowded, but he's worth a flyer, especially in deep leagues. You can pick up Ballage if he's available in your league.
Awesome. And now, are there any wide receivers we should be looking to stream for Week 10?
Yeah, so you could pick up Christian Kirk. He's available in way too many leagues. He needs to be owned in just about every league. He's been extremely explosive. Kyler Murray looks amazing, and he's their deep threat. Him and Andy Isabella, and Kirk has just been way more consistent than Isabella. And I think that Kirk should be owned, and he should likely be started in just about every single league. So go and grab him if he's available on waivers. Tim Patrick is somebody that you could also go and grab if he's available. He's been a very consistent option for the Denver Broncos. He's been putting up very consistent fantasy points, and definitely someone that you could start in a pinch, maybe if you still have players that are on bye week. John Brown, receiver for the Buffalo Bills, is someone he's finally back and healthy, and he's been making an impact. He had a great week in Week 9 against Seattle, and he's someone that you can kind of see when he's healthy and he's involved in the passing game for the Bills. Things are going much better for Buffalo. Buffalo's passing attack was struggling for a few weeks, and that was all while John Brown was hurt and injured and wasn't producing. But when Brown is producing, that entire Buffalo Bills passing game just opens up. I think that it's going to continue to do really well, and I think John Brown is someone that needs to be owned in every league. Now, his teammate Gabriel Davis is another receiver for the Bills that is worthy of a look, especially in deep leagues. He's someone that tends to be a really favorable red zone option for Josh Allen to throw to. So he's also very much worth a look if you're in a deeper league. So is Marquez Valdez-Scantling, wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. He's not someone that you can count on every single week. He's not going to give you consistent fantasy production. But he's really just that home run hitter. If you need to swing for the fences in your league, maybe you're just trying to get into the playoffs, you have to go big or go home. He's someone that you can plug in your lineup because on any given week, he could catch a couple of long touchdowns and absolutely win you your week. And finally, just to touch on Richie James, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he's basically benefiting due to there being so many injuries on the 49ers. Basically, all of their wide receivers got COVID or are on the COVID list last week. We don't know when they're all going to be coming back in the next couple of weeks. We don't really know. Richie James was basically one of the few wide receivers that the 49ers had to throw the ball to, and he did really well against the Packers. He looked explosive, he was able to get separation, he caught some really big passes. So he's someone that going forward for the next week or two might be worth a look if you're really in a pinch and need somebody to start.
Well, there you have it, guys. Those are some good wide receivers for you. So now it's time for some of my favorite players besides the kickers, obviously. Caleb, is there any tight ends we should be looking to stream this weekend?
Yeah, just a couple.
This week?
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, just a couple. Dallas Goedert is available in a lot of leagues. Of course, he's tight end for Philadelphia. They've been very banged up this year. They don't have a whole lot of receiving options. Goddard made his return after being injured a couple of weeks ago. He didn't produce very well, but he was likely still recovering from his injury. I think that now that Philadelphia is coming off of a bye week, he's going to be way more healthy, and he's going to be better suited to finally have a good game and explode. He's my favorite tight end streamer for this week. If he's available, go and grab him, especially if you need somebody to maybe replace like Travis Kelce. Another good streaming option is Irv Smith Jr. for the Minnesota Vikings. He's been kind of hit or miss this year, but they like him in the red zone. He had 2 touchdowns in Week 9, so he's finally getting some red zone looks. He's definitely someone that could have a big boom or bust game. Just depends on how things go. But when we're looking at tight ends, especially in streaming tight ends, that's kind of what we're looking for, because things are just very shallow at that position. Besides like the top 4 or 5 tight ends, it's kind of a just a crapshoot. So you have to really go and just swing for the fences. And Irv Smith Jr. is definitely somebody that can help you hit a home run.
And as we talk about every week, Caleb is really big on switching your defenses up. So Caleb, who are our defensive streaming options for Week 10?
Yeah, so the first one I like a lot is the New York Giants. The Giants defense actually had a really good game going up against the Washington football team. And they've played a lot better the last couple of weeks. In fact, 2 weeks ago they were going up against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and they did a really good job in containing that much better offense. So this week they're facing Carson Wentz and the Eagles. The Eagles tend to turn the ball over a lot. In fact, Carson Wentz is leading the league when it comes to interceptions, and he's also taken the most sacks of any quarterback in the league. That means good things for your defense. That means that the Giants defense is likely going to get pressure on Carson Wentz and could force him into a couple of turnovers, which means points for your defense. So I like the Giants a lot. I also like the Saints defense this week too. They look much improved in Week 9 going up against Tom Brady. They're able to completely shut out the Buccaneers. And they're facing a 49ers team that's just missing so many pieces offensively. I think that the Saints defense is likely going to have a really good game, should have no problem dominating the 49ers.
Awesome. So there you have it, guys. Those are your waiver wire streaming options. Go pick up those players, okay? We know you won't regret it. As always, we're going to say goodbye to Caleb and thank you for all your time. And I'm going to let you know that my name's Jaden, but I'd hope you know that by now. And this is Fantasy Tomorrow. Please remember to go and like, comment, and subscribe. And go hit up our social media pages, okay? We love, love, love talking if you've not noticed already. And with that, this is Fantasy Tomorrow, where we're here to give you the information to learn today and win tomorrow. See you guys for Week 11, okay?